All right, what's up, everyone? This is Derek Hatch from All Things Narrative here, and super excited to be with you all today. Those of you who are tuning in live with us, welcome. And if you are watching this later, welcome as well. So this is the Empowered Entrepreneurial Education, aka E3. And as always, we've got a wonderful team that's going to explore a particular topic today. And today we're going to talk about delegation. How to delegate something well. Something as entrepreneurs, even if we're a solo act, even if we're just doing this by ourselves, this is all something that we need to learn at one time or another because we cannot do it alone. If there's anything I've learned from being an entrepreneur, it's that we cannot do this alone. And so being able to delegate like a pro, that's what we're going to talk about today. So whether you are an entrepreneur just starting something out, whether you are a part of a team of an established organization, I promise there's going to be something here for you. And so don't forget to like and subscribe to our Facebook page, our Instagram, so that way you can stay in touch with us and all of our live streams that we do together. And so I actually am going to have to dip out in a minute, but I want to turn it over to our host for this discussion, and then she's going to come and introduce everybody else as well. And I see Christine's just coming in, so that's great. So I want you guys to give a huge warm welcome to Miss Tori Eubanks, who will be leading the discussion today.
Thanks, Derek, and I'm so happy everyone could join us today. And for all of those that are watching, I hope that you will walk away with some really good information and tips. As Derek said, we're talking about delegation and how to delegate like a pro. So before we dive into that topic, I just want to go around the screen and introduce ourselves and let you know what our areas of expertise are. As Derek said, I'm Tori Eubanks. I'm a virtual assistant, and I am someone who is very familiar with the topic of delegation because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners who trust me and delegate tasks to me every single day. So with that, John, you want to start? Introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tori. My name is John Acosta. I'm a business solution wizard, but I actually own Highlight Reviews Directory, which is a service for digital marketing for small businesses. So now let's go ahead and get started with the ladies, since I have Marcy to my right. Marcy?
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcy Amaro. I am a speaking and self-leadership coach. So that means that I can help you refine your messaging so that you can stand out in the marketplace. I can also help you get over your fear of speaking about what you do. And I can also help you figure out how to move yourself in the direction of achieving your dreams in the most streamlined and most effective way that fits your lifestyle, your personality, and your values. So I'm here to serve you in any way that I can. Look for me on all social media. And Nicole?
Thank you, Marcy. My name is Nicole Morales Sancho, and I'm a creative financier. So I help everyone from individuals, business owners, and families protect and save their money through life insurance and retirement planning. And, it's been a joy to just be able to help out and serve, different communities, and just happy to be part of this amazing team of experts. And I'm very excited to talk about this topic.
Christine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine. My company is Intention Enterprises, and we are here to help small businesses reclaim their time. We focus on your accounting, and we also offer you some other services in business consulting. So to help you grow your business, how to write a policy, a process, and a procedure.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you, Christine. One of the things that Christine said is just a great way to dive into this topic of delegation, and that is how to save time. As entrepreneurs, as small business owners, we know we always have so much to do and so many things that are on our plate. And as Derek mentioned when we opened up, you can't do it all. And I think so many times that's exactly what we try to do when we're running our businesses. We think that we are the only ones who can do it and do it well. And while that's true, we also need to be able to let a few things go and to pass on some of those plates to others so that we can focus on, really why we got into business. And so one of the main things about delegation and how it can help us as entrepreneurs to learn how to do this well is that it's going to help us to avoid having burnout. Because if we're trying to do it all by ourselves, it's going to be too much, and we're going to find out that there are things that are going to have to move off of our plate in order for us to do our business as well. And another thing about delegation is that if we're delegating and we're allowing others to help us out, it's going to help us be able to achieve our goals more efficiently and effectively. So let me ask our wonderful panel here, what are your thoughts about that? What do you think is important about delegation? Marcy?
Yeah, there's a lot that's important about delegation. And I shared with the team before we got on live, that I need to delegate more. And I am very well aware of that. But one of the things that I think happens a lot is that as entrepreneurs, we tend to have very creative minds, right? So we tend to see things slightly differently from other people. So sometimes it's hard for us to think about delegating because we don't trust that the other person is going to see the vision the same way we do, right? But the other element of that is that we get into entrepreneurship, most of us, because we like to serve and we like to help others. Well, one way to see delegation is as a way to bring other people in to be in service alongside us, and also as a way for us to serve them differently. Because when we hire someone, we are providing for them an opportunity for them to use their strengths, for them to use their abilities and their talents, and also maybe even a way to generate an additional income that they might need. So one of the biggest shifts that I had to go through in entering into delegation was that shift from thinking almost like I was using someone and being lazy and putting things off and showing them off to someone else, to understanding that I'm giving someone else an opportunity to shine and be of service as well.
That is really a great point, because, so many of us, we are service providers in our own industry. And for us to be able to effectively be able to continue that and to service our clients and our customers, we need to be able to have help ourselves. And that is really a hard thing to do sometimes. Christine, is there something, can you add to that?
Absolutely. So I am a firm believer in working in my zone of genius, right? That's the first thing. So there's certain things that I know that I am not good at, and I have to accept it. Even though I'm a type A personality, I have to accept the fact that I am not good at, I don't have a creative mind. I have an analytical mind. I am a numbers person. So I have to delegate some of those creative things to people who can help foster progress in that area. And for my clients, it's hard for them to let go of their financials. So I run into a lot of that. Dealing with people's finances, they don't want to let go. They don't think anyone else can do it the way they can. But I feel like if you let people work in their area of greatness, then you can work in your area of greatness. You can only do that if you delegate.
Yes, absolutely. Nicole, what do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely say for me as like an entrepreneur, it's very simple to sometimes just say like, I'm doing everything by myself, that's it. But at the end of the day, it's helps with scalability and being able to grow. So like I have like a team member, she's with me and she helps me in the process of helping out with the clientele and just being like that extra support. So that makes sure I'm not stretching myself out too thin. is something, Tori, you were talking about, avoiding burnout, right? And also just being able to provide a better customer service experience for your clientele. Because a lot of times we think we're able to give them everything that we need, but while we're gaining clients, helping them here and everything, having that support is very helpful and beneficial, to that experience for them. And in the long run too, it just, helps you have someone else keeping you accountable for different things that way things don't fall through the cracks. And so I definitely have found it very beneficial to have that. And I know that there's probably more I could even delegate, but I just starting at that point, is great and a good tool to use that. A lot of times I know people think, oh, well, I have to make a certain amount of income for me to delegate, or I need to be here and there. But the reality is that it's an important investment for you to do when you're not that big, because that's how you're going to get to your financial goals within your business, the clientele that you want to reach. So having that teamwork mentality will get you to grow faster to those goals that you have. Whereas the opposite thinks, well, no, I need to save the money. And then, when I'm at this point, no, it's like you got to start having those habits, those people there to help you, that strong team that's going to be your backbone as you're scaling and growing.
That is so true. And it's funny that you mentioned that. Last night, I was reading through my emails and I came across a newsletter and just a quote that just really resonated with me. And it said that you don't hire for a role, you hire to buy back time. And I think that when we take that and apply it towards delegation, oh, wow, is that not so true? I mean, when we think about delegating, it's hard to let go. We think, we should do it ourselves. We can save perhaps money that way. But when we look at it as an investment in our business, an investment in ourselves, that's really key, because we're buying back our time so that we can move the needle further in our business, or just be able to have that elusive work-life balance that we're all striving for and find it difficult to achieve. John, what are your thoughts on this?
I am gonna piggyback on a little bit of everyone. When I started my business, it was so hard for me to delegate. It was the hardest thing. One, because I had no knowledge about business. So it was like, okay, if I mess it up, at least I did it myself. One. Two, it was the situation where I'm like, okay, now I learned how to do this. Let me try to train somebody. And then it was letting go the reins of, can you do it just with the same care and love that I'm doing it? So I've gone through those two phases. And now finally I have a team that it's amazing and it helps me out a lot. And I can, just sometimes, not all the time, I'm still learning how to let go. But sometimes just say, okay, you guys got it. You have it. And, my team has come through. I'm really, really happy on that. But yes, I've gone through all those phases and I'm still learning how to let go. That's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. I think that one of the things, I'm sorry if I can just jump in here. I think that one of the things that makes it really hard is that we fail at communicating our vision properly. And so that's what makes it so hard to let it go, because we get into the space of, oh, that's not exactly how I envisioned it turning out. Well, there are two things that I think help in that regard. The first one is figure out how you best communicate. So we don't all communicate well in writing. If I try to explain to Johnny what I want this thing to look like and I'm doing it all in writing, it's not going to come out right. I need to express it verbally and I need him to see my hands and my face and all my expressions, right? So if I am going to communicate with a virtual assistant or with someone who's helping me on a project, I make sure that I either record a Loom or get on a Zoom, right? I need them to see me and I need to express it, usually with even visuals and examples, right? And it takes a little bit longer to communicate, but I know that I'm doing everything in my power to express it in the proper way. And the second thing I think that helps with that is understanding that just because you're delegating, that doesn't mean it's completely gone from your realm of responsibility, right? So just because you're delegating it to someone, that doesn't mean that you suddenly just forget about it and wait for them to get it all done. You establish checkpoints, right? So in a week, I'm going to check back with you and see, or in a day or two, I'm going to shoot you an email and see what questions you have or whatever. But I'm going to establish checkpoints along the way that keep me in responsibility, keep me in the loop with what's happening, and also help the other person know that they're not completely alone in doing this task. So I think those two things are really, really important to establish in that communication of what you need and what the other person is expected to do.
And Marcy, thanks for bringing that up, because those are two key points. As a virtual assistant, that's one of the things that I experience is being able to communicate with my clients and having them communicate, with me timeframes and having those check-in points. Because just saying, "Can you do that?" and I can say, "Yes, I can." But if I don't have, if they don't communicate with me as a virtual assistant that they need it done by a certain time frame and certain elements that need to be done, while I can do it, having that instruction from them and those touch points is really, really beneficial. So for someone that's watching today and they're wanting to know, how can I relay that information, just maybe perhaps making a timeline or a list of what you're wanting to delegate, and then with that having some deadlines and some checkpoints where you can go back in with the person that you're delegating these things to follow up and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely.
Has anyone in the group had any experience with communication not being exactly what you thought it would be, and sort of how you resolved that? Desi, Christine raised her hand.
I did. I recently had some basic data entry spreadsheet kind of work. At least that's what I thought it was, basic data entry spreadsheet work. But it's true. It's communicating and being able to set those checkpoints with the person who is doing the project, and not maybe necessarily dropping the house on them when it doesn't work out. In my particular situation, they were supposed to have the spreadsheet done in 2 days, and then someone got sick and it got pushed, and it kind of made my deadline a crunch. And so being on top of those kinds of things, when you do set a deadline, that your assistant is able to meet your deadline, and also giving them the information in enough time so that if they can't meet the deadline, then you can either find someone else or you can pick up the slack to do the work, because the onus falls back on you as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, the project manager, whatever your position is, it falls back on you, and they're there to really just help you. But yeah, that was a nightmare, and of course it's tax time for me, so it's a tax spreadsheet. It turned out to be a nightmare, but we got it done in the end. We got it done with communication.
Good. I would like to add also, great communication is fantastic. I don't know if any of you have to deal with people from other countries with a language barrier. And to take from Marcy, making sure you record those videos and become super detail oriented are so important, because sometimes you may be speaking to somebody. I actually have a client from Portugal. His English is not that great, and he's one of my really good clients. But every time he sends me something that has to be done, I literally have to sit down with him 2 to 3 times for him to explain, because one, the language barrier, and two, some of the projects are a little complex. And it's like, okay, now that's why I agree with Marcy. Having those extra visuals helps so much, so much.
Exactly, and that's why having the proper. Go ahead. Go ahead, Nicole.
Now, I was going to say, knowing too that it's kind of up to you to train them in the way that you want to. Like if you have someone helping you, on your team delegating, and a good book two that I would recommend is Crucial Conversation, because then that book helps you figure out how to properly communicate and also how to have those conversations. But sometimes it's not the easiest, if it's something kind of like Christine was saying, it's deadline, it's all this stuff, that is very crucial. And sometimes people can get sensitive about it. So that's a great just recommendation for any entrepreneur out there who wants to get better, not only just at communicating with, delegating to someone, but also just, for them in business in general, because communication is something that's not easy. We all have to work on it. We all have so many thoughts in our head. We think that we told someone about it, but maybe we didn't. So that's just something that, I would like to add there, just kind of like a tool that you could use outside of it.
Oh, that's a really great point. And when Marcy spoke earlier about other resources and tools, Loom, doing a Loom video, or hopping on a Zoom call or a Google Meet, so that you can record and then they can have it as reference to playback later, has been really key in being able to explain and making sure that you've captured all of that relevant information that sometimes gets lost if there's been several days or even a week or two if the project's a long-standing project. So the resources that we have at our fingertips now, I mean, what would we do without Zoom these days, or Loom? Aren't they just amazing?
Awesome.
Are there any other tools that you guys could recommend?
Asana or any project management tool, mainly if you're working with several people within your team. That, in my case, for example, for a digital marketing project, has to go through the graphic designer, the web developer, and et cetera, through all these channels. I have people that I have to delegate, and then the project management tool would actually take care of those jumps for us.
That's great.
And just a little communication 101, right? Johnny was mentioning somebody from a different country, but even when we're speaking the same language, we shouldn't assume understanding, right? We can be speaking the same language and still be understanding completely different things. So 3 key things in communication 101 really quickly: ask questions, reflect back what you heard and ask them to reflect back what they heard you say, and also do summaries at the end of any conversation, right? So ask questions for clarification, make sure that everybody's on the same page, reflect back what you heard. So what I heard you say so that we're on the same page was this, right? What did you hear me say so that I'm clear we're on the same page? And then at the end, okay, so what we discussed is this is going to happen in this order and for this reason, and we are clear on this. Please tell me what you heard me say. And just make sure that you're all on the same page, because very often everything falls to pieces because we assume that the other person understood what we said when they in fact understood something completely different.
Very true. I know from personal experience, if I'm communicating, it makes sense in my mind. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly. But when it comes out, it's like, you can, especially with the videos, which is so key now, you can really read facial expressions and you're like, they did not get that. So let's go back over that again and ask more clarifying questions.
That brings me to when you just said that, just brought me back to use simple language.
Oh yeah.
In my line of work, because I'm so used to some technical jargon, I just say it out loud and people go like, yes. In my mind, I understood it. I check a little bit later. They did not get anything. So use simple terms. And it's one of our, I think every professional's issue is that we're so used to speaking to other people in the same lingo that we have in the office, that we forget that people outside of our office may not know those terminologies and just would say yes, just don't feel bad, but you're just completely lost somebody. So when you're delegating, please use the easiest language that you can find.
Same rule as in marketing, 3rd to 5th grade level. 3rd to 5th grade level.
That is right.
And that's really important. Thanks for bringing that up, John, because so many times I think we're trying to impress people with jargon, and it's about being simple and speaking clearly, because people don't know what they don't know, and you never can assume that someone knows. And I think so many times people fall into the trap of, I don't want to appear unknowledgeable, um, and so they'll stay quiet, and you know that person is trying to Google as fast as they can whatever that topic is, and hoping that they can figure it out. Where just that clear communication of, I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with that. Could you explain that to me, exactly with what you mean? So that's just where communication is really the thing that we need to focus on the most as entrepreneurs, and for those that are delegating the task, and for those of us who are going to be doing the work that's being delegated to us, is just being able to have that clear, concise language that we can all understand and continue with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've talked about tasks, but we've not done specific tasks. What are some, because a lot of times people who might be starting out as entrepreneurs, they know that they're overwhelmed, but they don't know what tasks they can delegate. So all of you have mentioned things that you've delegated to others. What are some specific things that you would recommend delegating to get off your plate?
I heard a guideline once that it's my goal to get there, right? But somebody told me once, if you can hire out something that is not in your zone of genius for less than you would make in the time it takes to do it, delegate it, right? So what that means is, if you can generate $100 an hour, just for simple math and example, right? And you're going to spend an hour and a half editing a video, but you can hire someone to edit that same video for $40, then you're making $60 because you're generating 100 in that hour, right? So it's a matter of balancing things out mathematically if you're more analytical. But generally speaking, anything that takes you longer than it should, or that frustrates you more than it should, try to delegate it. For me, that's usually video editing and social media.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that, because that is a tough question. I wouldn't say that there's one specific thing that I would start delegating, because with me, I am the type of person that I like to do it myself, understand it from A to Z, and then figure out which portions, or if the whole thing. But I think Marcy's subject, or Marcy's point, it's perfect. If it's gonna cost you less to give it to somebody else, and you're still gonna make a profit, let that go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to help you move the needle in your business so much faster, and it's going to, just help you be more productive in your everyday life, with all the different tasks that you have to do. A lot of times, I will have clients come to me; they're wanting to release some information. They don't know exactly what they want to delegate. And so I always recommend that they just sit down and make a list of those tasks that it's taking them away from actually making money on. So what are those tasks? And then also, what is something that you really hate doing? I mean, that you cringe every time you see that thing pop up on your to-do list. Those are things that you can start doing and releasing.
In my case, the one thing
I definitely agree with you, Tori. Those things that I don't like to do, I delegate.
That's great.
Those are the first things to come off of my list. Anything I don't like to do, because if it frustrates, it takes me out of my happy place, and it's not worth it. It can never be worth it.
That's right. And if it's something you don't like doing, you're going to keep pushing it further and further back until it actually becomes a big problem. And then you're going to say, I should have delegated that out to someone. John, did you have something to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say, in my case, in my personal case, I know what has to be done. What I hate to do is sifting it through the right people. Because just to get it started, if you know the things, you just have to then, in my line of work, sift it to the right people. That first part of sifting is the one that I don't like doing. So that is the one thing that I delegate 100% to my team. I have one person that I'm like, here's the bowl, here's everything written, step by step, run with it, and I just don't look at it until they tell me that everything's been delegated, and then I make any corrections or anything like that. That is the only, my biggest pet peeve in my business.
Well, in talking about that, what would you consider, when how to delegate to someone the right person? What are you looking for? And I know it could be a little bit different in each one of our industries, but when you're going to delegate to someone, what are you looking for in that person?
The first thing that I always look for is, what are my clients' needs? Because there's people that tell me that they want it cheap. There's people that they want it fast, and there's also the people that want it just perfect. They don't want to lift a finger. They don't want to think about it. So that's how I choose the people that are going to take care of the project. For me, that is my very first thing. If my client tells me that they want it cheap, okay, you can have it cheap, but it's not going to be fast or perfect.
Very true.
You can have it fast, but it's not going to be perfect, and it's also not going to be cheap. And if you want it just perfect and you don't want to think or lift a finger, it's definitely not going to be cheap or fast. So you can only pick one, and that's how I have different teams for different scenarios.
I haven't heard it quite put that way before, but I really like that, John. That gives you a great choice and I like having choices. So you're giving your clients choices, so letting them make that decision.
And I think that that's where businesses and business owners and entrepreneurs are going to vary, right? Because depending on what you do, how big a team you need, and how you serve your clients, that is going to change how you look at this whole delegation piece, right? But for me, since most of the people or all of the people that I delegate to or hire are people that are going to work directly with me, not necessarily with my clients yet. I mean, it's coming at some point, but not yet. What I'm looking for most and first and foremost is values and fit, right? So I'm looking for someone who shares my values, who I know I can communicate freely with, and also someone who fits with the kind of energy that I want to put out, the kind of program and business that what I envision, right, as the culture in my business, that they're a good fit with that. So at my level, that is still the first priority because they're working mostly directly with me. Now, once it expands to customer service, and that's other considerations to have, right? But right now, I'm customer service and I am the one dealing directly with the clients. I just need someone on the back end. So that's the thing. They have to fit with my values and they have to fit with the culture that I'm trying to create.
Yeah, that is very key because when you're delegating to people, especially in our areas, they're representing us. So we want to make sure that we are being represented well by those that we're delegating to and taking care of those tasks. Now, Nicole, I know you said that you delegate quite a bit. So anything that you feel you can add to that? Of what you're looking for with people to delegate to?
Yeah, a lot of what Marcy said, I agree with. I would add on there that they're passionate about what I'm delegating them to, because that's what's gonna, come through when, it's whether it's administrative or, helping with clientele. So making sure they enjoy that and that they're coachable, because at the end of the day, I also understand, I work a certain way. It might not come from the same background or all of that, but just that they're willing to learn and that they're willing to go out there, be resourceful during those times when they come. So that's what I would add to it. But like I said, a lot of what Marcy was saying, I totally agree with.
Great. Yeah, that is very key too. Being coachable, making sure that you're delegating tasks to people who are going to be willing to follow through, but then take good instruction and being able to represent you well. So very good. Christine, do you have some thoughts on that?
For me, I have to pick people who are experts in their particular area. For example, if I'm working with having someone do taxes, and my tax client is out of state, I need to know that you know how to do out of state taxes, or you know how to do nonprofit taxes or nonprofit bookkeeping. So if I delegate tasks, then you have to be an expert in your area as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right. That's very, very important because, with us, we've talked about social media. You're talking specifically about taxes. Those are very specific industries that we can't be experts in everything. So we need to be able to rely on others who are, and just having those really good discovery calls and keeping that communication. And how many times have we said just in the 30 plus minutes we've been on communication. So I think that when we end today, we're going to talk about walk away with communication is going to be key. But it really is. As long as we're having those open lines of communication and talking to the people we're wanting to delegate to and finding out what their areas of expertise are, because we don't necessarily have to hire a full-time staff member. We can delegate for just those specific tasks. Like Marcy, you mentioned video editing, social media, Christine, taxes. I know John has several different specific fields that he delegates to. So that's just really important to know that we don't need to do it all ourselves, that there are so many different people out there we can delegate to and can get the job done for us.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So first, I would like to thank all of you for taking this valuable time and helping us put something positive into people's life. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tori, for guiding this discussion, because as a virtual assistant, you get to see this daily. So I would love to hear one situation where you have been able to help a business owner make a decision on which things you can be delegated and help you achieve their goals.
Well, let's see. For me as a virtual assistant, one of the things that when I talk to clients, building a network, it's allowed me to be able to have a lot of resources at my fingertips, so that if it's something that I can't do as a virtual assistant, I do have other fellow virtual assistants that I can refer to, and so that helps a lot. So if I ever have someone call me, if it's not within my wheelhouse, my area of expertise, I'm always able to refer, and happy to do so, to so many others that can shine in that particular area.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thank you. So for today's topic, I think we're all set. Ready?
I think so.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tori, Nicole, Christine, Marcy, Derek, which we miss you. I know you had to go. Thank you for opening for us today. Have a great day, and until next time. Okay.
Thank you.